Good morning, students. Yesterday we solved a problem. Actually, all the answers given in that problem are not the correct answers. Even the answer which I got, 840 meter, is also not correct. Why? You see, we have applied law of conservation of momentum. When the bullet is fired from the bottom, it sticks into the falling wooden block. Then we applied the law of conservation of momentum. So according to law of conservation of momentum, total momentum just before the collision is equal to total momentum after the collision. So when the bullet strikes the wooden block, the bullet is moving upward and the wooden block is moving downward. So one of the velocities must be taken negative. Suppose you take the velocity of bullet as positive, then velocity of the falling wooden block must be taken negative. Then when the bullet hits the wooden block, the combination rises up to the certain height. That height we can calculate using this sign convention. So m1 v1 plus m2 v2 is equal to m1 plus m2 whole bracket into v0. This is what I have taken. So if you take velocity of bullet v2 as positive and velocity of the falling wooden block as negative, then the equation becomes m2 v2 minus m1 v1. Got it? m2 v2 minus m1 v1. I am writing here. m2 v2 minus m1 v1. Look at this. Should be equal to m1 plus m2 into v0. So this equation you have to apply. In that case, v0 which you are going to obtain finally is m2 v2 minus m1 v1 divided by m1 plus m2. So this velocity will be definitely less than what we got yesterday. The velocity what we got yesterday was 130 meter per second. So 130 meter per second is actually incorrect, right? So if you solve this by using this equation, the correct answer is 123.3 meter per second. So I am just giving you hint, solve this problem. So the answer which you are going to get is not 840, it is less than that. The combination rises to a height which is less than 840. So I am giving you hint, you solve that problem and discuss with me through WhatsApp or phone. Okay. Now that is what I wanted to convey. Now today we are going to discuss the next part, that is position vector and displacement vector. Displacement vector for a body in two-dimensional motion. For a body in two-dimensional motion. Now let us study the motion in two dimensions. Now we are going to study in detail the motion in two dimensions. So we have to start with the position vector, displacement vector. After learning position vector and displacement vector, then we are going to define what is average velocity, then instantaneous velocity, then the average acceleration, instantaneous acceleration, as we have studied in the one-dimensional motion. Just it is a repetition. Only difference is in one-dimensional motion, the particle was moving either along positive x-axis or along negative x-axis. But in this case, it is moving on a plane. So let us first see, if a particle is here on xy plane, then the vector drawn from the origin to the position of the particle The vector drawn from the origin to the position of the particle gives us position vector as we have defined earlier. Now OP vector is a position vector. It is denoted by R vector. R vector. So if x and y are the coordinates, if x and y are the coordinates of this particle, then if you draw a perpendicular, this becomes x component. If you draw a perpendicular on y axis, this becomes y component. Then xi cap gives you x component vector along x axis, and then yj cap, see, which is equal to this. This is yj cap. So if you draw parallel to this perpendicular becomes yj cap. This becomes y component vector of the position vector R. So finally I can write the position vector OP, as R vector is equal to xi cap plus yj cap. Vector R equal to xi cap plus yj cap. Now let us see if this is the path of the particle. Suppose the particle is moving in this path as shown in this direction. At some instant of time t equal to 0, suppose the position of particle is p. At another time interval t, if the position of the particle is p dash, the particle has moved from p to p dash in time interval from 0 to t. Right? Then I want to find out what is the displacement of the particle. So to find the displacement of the particle, I should first draw what is the initial position vector. See here, OP vector gives you initial position vector R. Then the final position vector after time t. If you draw from O to P dash, that gives you the final position vector R dash. Then according to definition of displacement, now we define displacement vector. Displacement vector delta R vector is equal to final position vector minus initial position vector. Final position vector is R dash minus initial position vector is R. This is how we define. In the one dimensional motion, we got x dash minus x. Here you are getting x component as well as y component, both the components, when the displacement is taking place on the two-dimensional plane. If the displacement is taking place in the three-dimensional space, then it will be having x, y as well as z components. Okay. Once we learn the two-dimensional motion and its description using the vectors, same principles can be generalized for even three-dimensional motion. Okay, fine. Now, what is R dash vector? R dash vector, I will write here. R dash vector I will write here as x dash I cap plus y dash j cap. As I have written, x I cap plus y j cap for R dash vector is x dash I cap plus y dash j cap, where x dash y dash are the coordinates of the point P dash. Now if you draw a perpendicular here, so this becomes x dash, and if you draw a perpendicular from here on the y axis, this becomes y dash. Right? Now that becomes vector R dash equal to x dash I cap plus y dash j cap. Now similarly, what is vector R? Vector R we already got it as x I cap plus y j cap. X dash y dash, and this is x y. Now if you draw here the perpendicular, this becomes x, and if you draw perpendicular on the y axis, this becomes y. So I am substituting these in this equation. Therefore, displacement vector delta R, displacement vector delta R is equal to R dash minus x I cap plus y j cap. Take this subtraction. We will take the subtraction. We get x dash minus x I cap. I can take out I common. Similarly, y dash minus y j cap. So this becomes the displacement vector. So x dash minus x gives you change in position of the x component. Y dash minus y is the change in position of the y coordinate. So this I can write it as delta x I cap, delta x I cap plus delta y j cap. This gives us the displacement vector delta r. And what is the direction of displacement vector? The direction of displacement vector is from P to P dash. P dash direction is the direction of displacement vector. Displacement vector. Now, in the next, we will study about, once we learn displacement, we know the displacement by time taken gives us average velocity. Average velocity is displacement divided by time taken. So, we will find out average velocity. The time taken, let us take from 0 to t as a difference in time as delta t. So, if you divide this displacement by time delta t, that gives us displacement divided by time taken, that gives us average velocity.
Stop.
Okay. Now we will define what is average velocity as we have defined earlier. Average velocity is defined as total displacement divided by total time taken for that displacement. If the total displacement is taken as P dash, that is delta r, and time taken for that total displacement as delta t, t2 minus t1 or t minus 0, whatever it is, delta t as the change in time, then we get delta r by delta t. Now we know what is delta r. Delta r is delta x I cap. Here I am just substituting delta x I cap plus delta y j cap divided by delta t. Now split up, that gives us delta x by delta t I cap plus delta y by delta t j cap. Delta x by delta t I cap plus delta y by delta t j cap means the average velocity is also having x component as well as y component. So that is how we write delta v. Then what is the direction of this average velocity? The direction of average velocity is the same as the direction of the total displacement delta r. So we can write the direction of average velocity, or I can write v average is along the direction of displacement vector delta r. So whatever the direction is there, in the same direction we get the average velocity. Next we are going to define what is instantaneous velocity. Instantaneous velocity. Okay. Now after studying average velocity, now we are going to study what is instantaneous velocity. In the one dimension motion we have already defined instantaneous velocity is a velocity at a given instant of time. Velocity at a given instant of time is called instantaneous velocity. Then if you look at the path, suppose this is the path of the particle. path of the particle, that is curved path. Okay. Then at different position of this path, the particle has a different velocities. At every point it may have different velocity. It has got magnitude also as well as direction. Let me find out the instantaneous velocity at point P. How to find out instantaneous velocity at that point P? Means instantaneous velocity at this time interval T. So the procedure is, first find out the average velocity. Average velocity for a given time interval delta t. See here, suppose in time interval delta t, say from t1 to t2 or t to t dash, if you take time interval, initial time as t and final time as t dash. Suppose at time t, the position of the particle is p. After some time interval, say t dash, the position of the particle is p dash. So the time taken is t dash minus t. This t dash minus t gives us the change in time delta t. In this change in time delta t, the particle has got displacement from p to p dash. So first we define what is average velocity in the time interval delta t. Average velocity in the time interval delta t, I will write it as delta r by delta t. Delta r by delta t, where delta r is directed from p to p dash. Vector should be always represented by an arrowhead on the top. So delta r by delta t. Next, my task is exactly to find out the instantaneous velocity at p. Next, what I am doing, I am reducing the time interval t dash minus t. Suppose initially the t dash minus t is 1 second. Next, I am reducing that time interval from 1 second into 0.5 second. So if I reduce the time interval from 1 second to 0.5 second, half of a second, then the position of the particle will not be at p dash. It will be somewhere very close. Say half of this path, let it be here. If this is the position of the particle at some reduced time interval, say delta t1, earlier delta t I had taken as 1 second, now I am taking delta t as 0.5 second. So position of the particle now becomes p dash, this is origin. Right. Now corresponding to this reduced time interval delta t1, the displacement has become now delta r1. Displacement has become delta r1. Now the average velocity I will write as v1 bar. Average velocity now I will write as v1 bar. v1 bar is equal to delta r1 by delta t1. I have taken this as delta t1. So in this way, I keep on reducing the time interval. Now I have reduced to 0.5. Next I am going to reduce it to 0.25. So if I reduce the time interval to 0.25, the position of the particle will be little closer to point P. It will be little closer on this path. So there again, if you join this displacement vector, then I can define that displacement vector as delta r2. So in that case, I will define it as v2 bar as equal to delta r2 vector divided by delta t2. So where suppose I had taken here delta t as equal to 1 second. Here I had taken delta t1 as equal to 0.5 second. Here I have taken delta 2 as equal to 0.25 second. So I will continue this procedure until I am coming very close to the point P. Means the particle is almost leaving this point P in a very small interval of time. So when it leaves that point P in a very small interval of time, how much is that small displacement? I need to calculate. It means from 1 second of time interval, I am reducing it to 0.5. From 0.5, I am reducing it to 0.25 second. In this way, in the next, I am going to reduce delta t3 to 0.1 second. Next, delta t4 as 0.01 second. Next, delta t5 as 0.001 second. For every reduced time interval, I am calculating what is that corresponding position, change in position. Corresponding change in position gives us corresponding displacement vector. So for every reduced time interval, I am getting corresponding reduced displacement. So as you go on doing this procedure, at one particular instant of time, when the time interval is very small, almost 0.00001 second, let us say, if the time interval delta t is reduced to 0.1 to 0.01, 0.01 to 0.001, 0.001 to 0.0001. So if you are reducing that time interval delta t to very smaller and smaller time interval, then p dash will be almost very close to p. So if you join that p dash, then that displacement vector p dash becomes tangential to that particular point on the curved path. So that tangential vector, the tangential direction gives the direction of instantaneous velocity at that point. So the meaning of this complete explanation, whatever I have given, is given in one simplified manner in mathematics as instantaneous velocity. Look here how I am writing instantaneous velocity v vector is equal to limit as time interval delta t tends to 0. Limit as time interval delta t tends to 0. Ratio of delta r to the delta t. And we know what is this delta r by delta t. Delta r by delta t is nothing but average velocity. So I can define the instantaneous velocity as limiting value of average velocity as time interval tends to 0. As time interval tends to 0 means as you go on reducing the time interval from 1 second to 0.5 second, 0.5 second to 0.25 second, 0.25 second to 0.1 second, 0.1 second to 0.001 second, 0.001 second to 0.0001 second, you are approaching almost to the point P. So for infinitesimal small change in time t, what is that infinitesimal change in displacement? Delta r, infinitesimal change in displacement. Now it is going to be denoted as dr. So that gives us the dr vector by dt. So the meaning of this one is the ratio of dr by dt, where r is a position vector. So I can write it as the position of dr vector by the ratio of dr vector by dt. The ratio of dr vector to the dt is called as instantaneous velocity. This is also defined as time rate of change of velocity. It's also defined as time rate of change of velocity. So you can write here time. Already I have given you definition in the one dimensional motion. There is no much change. Definition remains the same. Time rate of change of velocity. Time rate of change of displacement. Not velocity. Time rate of change of displacement. Time rate of change of displacement gives us instantaneous velocity. V vector equal to dr by dt. So once again we will define instantaneous velocity as limiting value of average velocity. Look at this. Limiting value of average velocity as time interval delta t tends to 0. Delta t will never become 0. Delta t almost becoming 0. That is the meaning of tending to 0 mathematically. So at that moment, whatever average velocity you calculate for delta t tending to 0, then you will get the ratio of dr by dt. This is a ratio of infinitesimal change in displacement to the infinitesimal change in time. Infinitesimal small change in displacement divided by infinitesimal small change in time gives us dr by dt. This gives us instantaneous velocity. See the difference between the average velocity and instantaneous velocity. Here average velocity we got it as delta r by delta t. vector. V vector is dr vector by dt. See the difference. Delta r and delta t are considerable changes here. They are large changes in position, large change in time. Whereas dr and dt are very small changes. In mathematics, in calculus, we write very small change in position vector, very small change in displacement as dr, and very small change in time, corresponding change in time is dt. So this is how we define instantaneous velocity as the ratio of infinitesimal change in displacement to the infinitesimal corresponding change in time. This gives us instantaneous velocity. Now we have found out instantaneous velocity at point P. So instantaneous velocity at point P is given by vector v equal to vector dr by dt. Okay. Then vector is the one which is having both magnitude as well as direction. So we can find out magnitude as well as direction using this graphical way, using this diagram. Look at this. See, if you look at this direction, the direction is tangential. As you go on reducing the time interval, you will get corresponding smaller and smaller displacement. Finally, when you draw a tangent here, that tangent gives you direction of dr vector. Okay. So the direction of velocity vector here is the tangential direction. That is along the direction of tangent at that point P, and that tangent is drawn along the direction of motion. So the direction of velocity vector is tangential at point P and it is drawn along the direction of motion. Along the direction of motion. This gives you direction of velocity vector. Now we have vector r is equal to xi cap plus yj cap. Then how to find out velocity vector? Velocity vector is equal to dr vector by dt vector. dr vector by dt. dt is not a vector. dt is a time interval which is a scalar. Okay. dr vector by dt. So this is called differentiation of position vector with respect to time t. So where r cap, where r vector is there, you substitute the vector r by this vector xi cap plus yj cap. You can see that xi cap plus yj cap. So if you differentiate this, d by dt is a differential operator. In maths you are going to learn d by dt as a differential operator, differentiating this given quantity in the bracket with respect to time. So this becomes dx by dt I cap plus dy by dt j cap. dx by dt I cap plus dy by dt j cap. These are the velocity components. So further I can write, therefore velocity vector as equal to vxi plus vyj. What is vxi? Vxi corresponds to this bracket into I cap, which is nothing but dx by dt I cap. And what is vyj? Vyj is dy by dt into j cap. So I can write here where vx is equal to dx by dt. It is x component of velocity vector, and vy is equal to dy by dt. It is called y component of velocity vector. X component of velocity vector and y component. So from this diagram I can draw, say, this one as x component along parallel to x axis, and if you draw perpendicular here, this becomes y component. So this becomes vx and this becomes vy. So separately if you draw, suppose this is the velocity vector, then by using rectangular components, this becomes vx I cap and this becomes vy j cap. And if theta is the angle between them. We can find out the direction of this velocity vector. This is the same angle theta. We can find out direction of velocity vector. Okay. Once you get a velocity vector as Vx I cap plus Vy j cap, let us first find out what is the magnitude. Magnitude of velocity vector. So by definition, V modulus of V is equal to, apply the knowledge which I already gave, square root of Vx square plus Vy square. Square root of Vx square plus Vy square, where Vx becomes V cos theta and Vy becomes V sin theta from this triangle, velocity triangle. So this gives you magnitude. And how about the direction? Where you can write Vx is equal to V cos theta. Same what we have learned earlier. Vy is equal to V sin theta. Okay. Then how to find out direction? Direction of velocity vector. Direction of V vector. So from this vector triangle, from this vector triangle is here, from this vector triangle, tan theta is equal to opposite by adjacent. Opposite is Vy, adjacent is Vx. Vy by Vx. So therefore, theta becomes tan inverse of Vy by Vx. So this gives us the direction of velocity vector. So today we have learned position vector, displacement vector, and average velocity and instantaneous velocity vector, how to find out its magnitude of velocity vector and the direction of velocity vector. In the next presentation, in the next session, we will learn about average acceleration, instantaneous acceleration in the same way. Thank you. Have a good day.